games are not really great to show, but I hope the community is not mocking me too hard because I really played awful in both games. But I guess that's good for coaching's sake.
No worries, no worries. Don't worry about what other people would say. Honestly, it's like YouTube comments or Twitch comments are not very usually not very constructive criticism. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, that
don't worry
too.
about what anyone else says.
Okay.
Most of the time, other people are gonna be wrong, right? So don't worry
Yeah.
about that. Um, so tell me about your play style. Are you strong in lane, strong out of lane? What do you think you're good at? What do you think you need work on?
So back then when Jhin was not trashed here, used to be very good in lane and like I used to win almost every lane. Nowadays, I really have problems with all the fleet footwork and stuff, and yeah,
Hmm.
Lulu support and all this kind of things. I'm having already trouble like winning the lane, and I guess it was the win condition for Jhin because late game he just falls off pretty heavily, depending on the build and stuff. Um, like yeah, and a lot of times I don't know, like after laning phase, I have many moments where I'm just not sure if what I'm doing is correct or if it's a good idea to do X or Y, and I don't know.
I see. I see.
So yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So you did mention, what do I do against Lulu kind of stuff. So I guess that brings us to the question: when you see this laning phase in Champion Select, what are you thinking?
Well, when I see Lulu in Champion Select,
Right. How do you think you should play the lane out when you see that you have Morgana Jhin versus Vayne Lulu?
well, I guess I thought that we should have pressure early on because Vayne is weak early, and we can have a lot of bullying potential with Morgana and Jhin as a combo. So I thought of playing aggressively, but the lane played out differently than I expected or hoped it to be.
Right. I think in terms of the way you describe the lane, we could get more specific, right? So you know how you're like saying, this lane can bully them through our CC chain, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
you have to realize that this lane, and more specifically, if Morgana lands bind first, you can do that, right? So if she never lands bind first, turns out that you guys can't really do anything. So the way I kind of like to classify lanes is through like three main categories. Well, actually, really four main categories, right? I don't know if you've seen my other coaching videos or any of my commentaries on lane, but I like to categorize them as you have poke, you have trade, you have catch, and you have all in.
Yeah, right.
So, what do you think Jin falls under for those categories?
Um, I don't know. I'd say poke, depending on. Yeah, I don't know. Like poke maybe, or is it just?
Well, poke implies damage without a response, right? So if Jin walks up, he can always get hit back if that makes any sense. And you don't really
Yeah.
use W to poke, right? So I don't think we can really say that he's reliably a poke champion in lane.
Okay. So rather all in then, or?
Well, if you ever all in with Jin, there's an issue with his first shot, right? You're like, oh, this
Yeah.
is this is awkward, right? You have no more bullets, so I don't think we can quite classify him as all in either.
So what were the other other two categories again?
There's trade and there's catch.
Well, then catch, I guess, because of the W.
Agreed, right? His W has great catch potential because if you hit someone with it, you can set up your jungler or your support, right? And pretty much anyone with the CC has catch potential. And I would like to say that Jin with his four shot up has also trade potential, right?
Yeah, indeed.
His Q4 shot will beat anything. Um, Probably even Varus auto attack E, right? That's how good it is. Four shot is so good, right? So I would say Jin would fall under the categories of something like uh, catch trade, right? Then what does Morgana fall under?
I guess Morgana could be more of an all-in, like with the binding and the ult follow-up, or
Well, I'm very hesitant to say. Okay, so pre-6, she has no ulti, right?
yeah, okay,
Which
yeah, right.
tells us that binding is unreliable as an all-in, right? When I like to consider all-in as something that's guaranteed, like Leona Q, right? Or Alistar walks up and pulverizes, something like that. Because that way you don't throw in Thresh and Blitz in that same category. Because I feel like champions with skill shots aren't necessarily all-in. They're all-in dependent on landing their skill shot, right? So that's why I like to put them under the category of catch. So when you're with any support, the reason why you guys are getting pushed in, it seems like you guys can't win early is because you have a catch support, and with catch supports, they have to go first or you lose.
Yeah.
Right. And Morgana's not gone first, which is why you can't really do anything. And I think that's fine, right? So if we so basically when I look at our lane, I think, oh, we have catch trade and we have catch. So this is just catch. This lane is just catch all day, right? Let your support go first and then you follow up. But if you do anything other than that, you want to trade, right? Ideally speaking. But then you look at their side. What does Lulu want to do?
She wants to hit with their spells that deal a lot of damage and shield her ADC. So
right. So what category would you say that is?
Or
categories?
Trade.
Right. That's cancer, right? How many times has Lulu hit you and you're like, you literally cannot win this trade because you just fucking E auto Q and it's like, oh, okay, I just want to like AFK or something, right? And then
that champion is just disgusting.
right. And then how about Vayne?
Well, she wants to proc her 3 silver bolts and deal. I mean, she wants to just farm up and be hyper carry late game, I guess.
Right, but if you had to throw her in under the 4 categories, which would she apply to, if any?
Okay, trade. What do we have? Catch, all in, and poke. Well, I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, I don't know, maybe all in?
Right, I would agree that all in would be probably the only thing she can do, and then the other one would be maybe she can catch someone, right? Like anyone with CC has potential to catch, in my opinion. Unless it's something very weak like Hagma E, you don't even consider that as catch, right? But something like Vayne Condemn, hard CC. Anything like Jhin Root, hard CC. Something like Ashe Ulti, right? Anything like that would be, I would say, considered catch. So you have catch and trade versus all in and trade, right? And turns out that support trade will always beat AD carry trade, right? Why do I say that?
Support trade is always turning out to be AD carry trade?
Like if you're in AD carry and you want to trade something like theirs, something like Jhin, and they have a support who wants to trade, like Nami, Janna, Lulu. If you try and trade with their AD carry, what happens?
I get outtraded because I get double trade on. Like
exactly, right? So if you're ever against any of these supports, you know that you don't want to trade. So if we ever back up in time and we look at what's going on, one of the reasons why it seems like we can't do anything is because we lose a bunch of HP just by like being next to Lulu. You know what I mean? Like let me see if I can fast forward. There's like a point here where like this example, right? You want to stay on the away from Lulu, basically, no matter what, because you will always lose the trade unless she say for example eats a bind or is tanking all your minions. Then that would be a good trade because you would win that. But for the most part, you want to know that you don't want to trade with these guys like ever, right? And that's part of the reason why it feels like we can't do anything. It's because we have no HP, right? Like this, for example, right? So anything like this is something we want to avoid. It would be good. It would have been good if you waited for her shield to disappear, but I think it was just poor timing, I guess, right? Like you guys even landed the bind and a W, and you could say you lost that, right? So that's kind of the idea, is that when you look at these lanes, you have to know, or you have to ask yourself, how does this ideally play out? And it's always going to be your catch support goes first, right? Is how it should go, right? And then it's just like, oh, Morgana's doing some stupid shit, right? that's why you can't classify her as all in, right? Because you miss skill shot, it's over, right?
True.
So that's kind of the idea. But beyond that, I think we're playing the lane out okay, I would say, right? It could be better, but not the end of the world. But yeah, that's kind of the idea, if that makes any sense. Right.
Yeah, what do you suggest about the mana sustain? Do you think that Doran's Ring is a good start, or would you go with the mana flow? Or what's your...
I played 2 games of Jhin, and I don't think you need either. Right. I think
Okay.
starting Doran's Shield is fine. I think starting Doran's Blade is maybe more questionable, but still fine. Right. In terms of like Q spam or whatever, I did not have any issues. As long as you're not randomly using Q on the minion wave, you shouldn't be running out of mana. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's kind of the idea. But if you really want some kind of mana source, I would say Doran's Ring, right?
Yeah, okay. All right.
Watching this gank here, seems like it should work. Oh my god. Nice flash bait. Good. This guy's just gonna die. Oh wait, what's going on here? Hold up. Wait, so how come... So what's going through your mind when this gank is going on? You want to bait them, right, into this 2v3.
Yeah, right. So,
So
I saw that she procced the third Saber bolt on me, and I had to flash away because otherwise I think I would have died.
right, that's very good. Very good. And then what happens after that?
Yeah, I didn't use my V for my W for I don't know whatever reason. I mean at that point I already knew I fucked up, so
Well, how come you want to base here is the question, I guess.
so yeah, I thought that I saw that I had no mana, and my brain just said like you can't do any much more here, so better go base and come back as soon as possible. But then I realized too late that I had enough mana to actually throw another W at least, or have other ways to impact. So
Even if you're out of mana, if I said you should stay, why would I say that? What would be some reasons?
well, for one, because I could have helped secure that kill with a well-placed W.
Well, let's say you have no mana, so you can't do that.
Okay, so I guess I should have gotten the cannon wave, or yeah.
Right, you should push before you base, right? If you can
Yeah.
push, you should push. So is there anyone in this game that can stop you from pushing?
No, Vayne is dead, and I don't know where the jungle was mid lane, I guess.
Well, we don't know where their jungler is either, right? But we should be able to see him coming if he's gonna try and suicide for us, right? Let's say we push these minions. How would Olaf come for you? Just like through river or something. You have your whole team here, right? So there's no real way for the jungler to stop you from pushing. That's how you know that you want to. If you can push, you should push, basically. And I think that this is a situation where you can look to push.
All right.
But that's just me. And the reason why we kind of bring it up is because if you don't do that, you're losing minions, right?
Yeah.
we can.
I know the principle, and normally I do it. I don't know why. Like I said, maybe because of the losing streak, I'm doing stupid shit that I wouldn't normally do because I'm just like insecure. Or, I don't know. Normally I really try to push out, but I don't know what happened there. Like some brain fuck.
That's good. That's good. Well, at least you already know the concept, right? So all you gotta do is just the kind of way to see if you want to do it is just ask yourself, oh, what's the best thing I can do here, right?
Yeah.
As you're recalling. And this is a really good. Okay, so what happened here?
I missed the root here.
I honestly think this grenade was super unlucky, but
yeah, that too.
that is the big one here, right? Because remember that you need your catch support to go first, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much always, unless you know for whatever reason you can land your CC and they can follow up on it. But I think that this honestly, there's just two unlucky things happening. Is one, we kind of missed our route, and two, the grenade like missed her by an inch. So wouldn't fault you too much for that one. But you had the right idea there, right? Oh my, very good, very good. This is definitely how you win right here, like that. Oh, very good, very good. So notice how if you play the matchup right in this season, right? Ever since the changes to runes, if you play the matchup right, you'll always win.
Okay.
Right. And if you play it wrong, you'll always lose. Like, look how much HP you lost from one trade against Lulu. You lost like a third of your HP. And then when Morgana went first, Lulu's like pretty much dead. just from one bad like catch, right? So if you ever if you ever want to know why laning is not going so well, or why laning is going so well, it's because whoever plays the matchup out better is gonna win. Even if they have items or no items, they're still gonna lose if they play the matchup wrong, right? Like let's say for example, how many times have you gone ahead, but you have like a support Janna or like support Soraka or whatever, and they have an Alistar and you guys die anyways, right? Even though you have 2 kills. That would be the reason why, is because the matchup matters more than pretty much anything else, right?
Okay.
Except for numbers advantage. Numbers advantage can beat the matchup, right? So you have like a jungler or something, obviously. So yeah, that's the general idea. So now that you guys are playing the matchup right, you guys are destroying them, right? Look at this. There's like, they can't even do anything. Oh, you gotta walk up here though. Oh no. Okay. Interesting. What's going through your mind here? You just want to push and run?
Yeah, so I see that. Yeah, I don't know, like, again, because I'm out of mana, I think I'm a bit, I don't know, hesitant to go further in.
Interesting.
Yeah, we don't have vision, we didn't have vision on the jungler or whatnot, and I don't know, maybe those kind of things scared me from walking up. But you're right, when looking at it, I definitely should have fired that 4th shot.
So I think there are a lot of you seem to have a lot of kind of mana issues, if that makes any sense. Like, oh, we have no mana, so we can't do anything. So I think for your gameplay, there are 2 things to help you out with that. Okay, so one is when you're using your grenades, you need to not use it unless you're gonna hit the enemy with it. Like, don't use it on minions. Unless you're like killing minions or something like that, right? And the second part to it is, if you have no mana, stop using abilities, because you need to regen your mana. Otherwise, you can't do anything, right? There's kind of like 2 part is, one, if you find yourself you have no mana, you have to immediately stop using abilities until you can do 1 rotation.
Okay.
Right, so you need at least QW and LT, and then that's like, you should not dip below that line, if that makes any sense. And then if this happens, it's just interesting to see that you're just out of mana all the time, right? Because we're kind of spamming your abilities too much or something. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, the thing is, normally I used to play with Dawn's Ring or Mana Flow, so I used to have way more mana available, and this game I didn't have any of those, and I don't know, I was I was so used to like be able to spam so much that maybe I just overdid it.
Like, you have a lot of good uses of Q, like this is very good, right? But I think there are times in lane where you also used it and it just didn't do anything, and just like bounced once, right? So I think if you can minimize that aspect, you'll be able to not run out of mana, if that makes any sense.
But it's okay to use it to secure CS, like when you're reloading or something?
Not if you're not pressured, right? I haven't seen a single instance of you're about to miss a CS because you're reloading. Or maybe it's because I haven't been paying too much attention, but it usually doesn't happen that way. Also, I don't know why she did that. What?
I haven't, there were a lot of things that I didn't know what she did.
Interesting, but whatever. It shouldn't really affect us too much, right? Yeah, the CS doesn't really matter. Wow, that was a sick bounce, right? Yeah, I don't know. It was really interesting. I don't really see you. I don't really know where this out of mana situation is coming from. This is free. All you gotta do is ulti or something. Or just hit someone. Like, yeah. No, this is good. Oh wait, you missed the heal. Oh no. Oh, okay. Right. So, tell me about the matchup. Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys are catch and they are trade all in, right? So if you guys catch and it doesn't work, you're gonna lose, right? So who should you be aiming in this case?
Lulu?
Why Lulu? Let's say you guys kill Lulu. Does Vayne kill you guys?
Yeah, I guess she does. Yeah. I don't know, I thought because she got ulted, it would be better to focus on Lulu, but yeah, it was a bad idea. And like you said, I should have just ulted there. Like, I don't know why I didn't do that.
I think it's kind of hard to. Okay, so the idea is that you guys want to catch first, right?
Yeah.
And then if you guys find a good enough catch, Morgana wants to, finish it off with all in or whatever, right? Because the catch was so good, you can beat their all in. But I think the issue here is you're not focusing the same target.
Yeah.
Right. You would have won this, I'm pretty sure, right? If you guys just hit the same guy. So if she bound Lulu and ulti Lulu, kill Lulu. If she binds Vayne and ultis Vayne, you kill Vayne, right? So the issue here is that I think you just wanted to target the AD carry, right? And I think that would have. That's just like a targeting issue. Like, let's say for example, it's the same idea if Blitz hooks Vayne, Lulu ults Vayne, and then you try and kill Lulu. It's the same thing, right? Is that you caught the AD carry, and then Lulu ults the AD carry, and then you're like, oh, maybe we should hit Lulu instead. But that's not right, because you have to focus the guy you caught. You have to kill the guy you caught, if that makes any sense. Otherwise, if they turn into an all-in like they did, they're both at half HP, and it's like, oh, we put all our damage onto both people, right? If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You just need to focus the same guy. I think that was just a targeting issue there, right?
Okay.
Do you have any questions, by the way? I think I.
So for like, I don't know, like, no, I was really confused about some things that Morgana did in the laning phase. Like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Like, if you have a support that just doesn't really know what he's doing, basically, I mean, this, like you said in this matchup. I'm kind of dependent on Morgana to land her bindings to actually be able to do something. Like, what is if, for example, she doesn't land anything? Like, she landed something here, but I mean, generally speaking, like there are a lot of times like we have some support that gets autofilled or.
Right. So when you have a catch support, right, and you need them to go first, you have a few priorities in mind, right? So one is if they land their catch, you have to follow up. So let's say, for example, you're playing Xayah and you have a support Morgana. You use all your abilities on the wave, and then she catches someone, and you guys lose because you wasted abilities. That would be not good, right? Because we should have been able to follow up. The second is you have to make sure you have enough. This falls under the same kind of vein, but you have to make sure that you don't randomly lose an advantage like HP or summoners or anything like that, so that you can follow up, right?
Okay.
And then the third but lesser priority is you can set it up for them, but that's really not recommended for solo queue. Like you were trying earlier when you were going to W Vayne first. That's not really recommended because it's like if Jhin goes first, it's not a guaranteed bind, right? Because there's minions in the way.
Okay.
And if Morgana goes first, it's guaranteed for Jhin to follow up, right? So you always want Morgana to go first, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
The idea is that you need to make sure that you don't make any matchup mistakes, and you give your Morgana as many opportunities as possible, right?
All right.
And that's the only thing you can do, right? Like you said, if you have a support who doesn't know what they're doing, they're autofill, they're playing a catch support, like Blitzcrank, you can't do anything unless they land the hook, right? So there's literally nothing you can do. There's nothing. Oh my, this bind though, right? I guess you guys just lose because they're all in, right? So you can't really do anything. She spam pings you. You could not have done anything there, right?
Yeah,
What could you have done here?
I was wondering that too. Like,
you could have put an E down. You could have. There's nothing you could do, right? Because what happens is that Lulu just ultis her, and then you lose because they're all in, right? So that's kind of the idea of the matchup is that you need them to go first before you do anything. But the issue with this game is that when Morgana did go first, we kind of failed on the follow up. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So basically, it's similar to how if you use W on the wave and Morgana lands bind, that's a mistake, right? Because we need W to follow up, right?
Yeah.
If we have force shot, Morgana lands a bind and we use it on the minion, it's the same thing. It's still a mistake, right? It's like Jin's force shot is like basically considered an ability since it's so good. But yeah, it's basically you have to know how the matchup plays out, right? So this is all in versus catch, same thing, right? So if she misses bind, it's over. Which she's probably gonna miss bind because it's not easy to land bind on Vayne. Oh, looks like she's dead, right? So based on the matchup, we should know how to play, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing you can do. It's good you recognize that. But the times where you could do something, we kind of dropped the ball. So I think that's the one thing you can definitely look at is you watch your Morgana. The first thing is you make sure you don't fall for trade, all in, poke, whatever they are, right? Don't fall under their win condition. And the second is you watch your Morgana and see if she's going to throw bind anytime soon. And then you immediately follow up, right? You just ask yourself, what am I going to do to follow up, right? Like when I said, oh, I would just ulti here. It's because in my head, I was going to do W and then ulti immediately. And that's how I follow up, right?
Like, I have a question there. Like, when do you decide to ult and when do you have decide to go in and, throw in 4 shots and all those kind of, or like just auto hitting?
So in general, the way I play Jhin is I'm going to save my ulti until I know I can get something, right? So if I don't know if I can get something, I'm not going to use it because you can wait until they start running away and then ulti, or you can wait until you get more value out of your attacks because you guys are losing, and then they stop chasing, then you can turn around ult, right? But basically, when you know for sure you can get something, right, is I think the best time to ulti.
Yeah, because at that point where I should have ulted, because in my mind the idea was to fight them, and then when they run away, I just ult them. But that was a bad idea.
Right, because they're not gonna run away because they're all in, right? If that makes any sense.
That's true.
So one thing you can do with Jhin is also trade super hard, and then like you said, trade super hard, and then when they run away, you ulti them, right? But in this case, against all in, you're never gonna get the chance to ulti. Right.
Yeah.
You have to ulti first. It's like same thing with Caitlyn, right? If you're playing Caitlyn against all-in team, why is Caitlyn so bad against all-in if she doesn't poke? She can't use her ulti, and she has 2 skill shots. So double whammy. Caitlyn always loses against all-in, right? So it's kind of the same idea. Is that you couldn't use your ulti because they're all-in you, right? But let's see. We swapped top. Let me see. So yeah, thus far the game has mostly been we didn't follow up when we should have, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of laning, I think it is okay, but that's pretty much, I think that's the big thing here, especially since you're Jhin main, right? You need to be able to do that for your team. Otherwise you can't do anything on this champion, right? It's like feels bad, man.
That's true.
And then you guys are trying to go for this guy, but he's too tanky, so
I literally do 0 damage.
Not sure what Morgana's going for there, but you couldn't really do anything there. That's fine. He's still pushing. Good. Oh, this guy's ulting. That's fine. You're gonna win this guy. There's no way he can kill you. I don't think you can really kill him either. But
no.
Interesting. Sure, go mid. Because Lux is bot or something. But yeah, notice how this game has kind of descended into us having less control over the game because of how laning phase went, right? So the big idea is first identify the matchup, right? You need to ask yourself, what do we do? So if you have catch, always let them go first. It doesn't matter what you're playing, right? Always let them go first. And if you're playing against trade, right? If they outtrade you, never trade, right? For example. If they're all in, you never want to do all in, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Oh my, that condemn. Right? Same thing here. Like what happened with the W here, right?
Yeah, I missed it.
You always want to save it. You always want to save it until you can guarantee it for whatever reason. And then you guys lose because they're all in, right? Oh! 2v3 though. Maybe you can win. Oh no, I guess not, right? They're just too strong. I think you can ulti him or W him or something. Oh, nice try. But yeah, that's the whole idea. And the reason why you guys lose this is you need to let more go first and follow up, right? So if you had W'd him and ultied, or W'd him and walked up and hit him, either of those would have worked. But if you missed the follow up, it's like there's nothing you can do. That's all you can do, right?
Do you think we would have won the fight if I would have landed the W?
Yes, of course, right? That's the damage you're missing, and she would have stood in place more, right? Not only that, but you can even walk up and start hitting her, right? One of the reasons why you guys couldn't do this is because now they just walk up and do whatever they want, right? Any kind of W here would have gotten him when she's knocked up, when she's in the snare. That leads into a free ulti, right? Even W her would have killed her, probably, right? Anything like that. So it's like what's a good analogy? It's like missing Varus E. Pretty bad, right? Maybe not the end of the world, but you're basically not contributing like as much as you should have, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think LT here to save them. Oh man, now everyone, yeah. Basically, this bot lane is taking over the game, right? That's essentially this game is all about laning, and your role as the AD carry, right? So let's say your Morgana was like straight up inting, couldn't land a single bind, and you guys lose lane. That's fine. But if you ever watch yourself and it's not that Morgana didn't land anything, but we didn't follow up, then that's something we can work on, right? Definitely something we can work on, right? So
what was irritating me in this game was that Vayne got so hard out of control because like she got fed so hard, and I mean, yeah, like I fed 1 kill to her, and Morgana like 2 or something.
Oh yeah, it's just like, oh, they're just gonna all in. The instant they dodge one thing, they just win, right? So that's kind of what can you do now, right? Oh my, she's tanking tower. Oh my god, yeah, it's very sad, right? So that's the idea. Is in the lane matchup, you need to know what your role is, right? And your role is to follow up. If you have catch support, always, right? So this replay may not be as good as another one because you could play differently with a different support, different kind of support, right? Yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to. It's just like there's not much you can do now. I think you can only get Lulu here. Nice try. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what this replay boils down to, is that as the Jhin player, you cannot miss W. Right? Yeah. And if your team can go first, you always let them go first, right? Let's say, for example, your team has no CC. Then in that case, you can W first, right? But you have to be like, oh, they're chasing or they're running away or they're slowed or anything like that. But if your team has easier to land hard CC, you should always let them go first so you can chain, right? That's what I think for that replay. It's not much else we can really look at because laning phase was just kind of warped the game, I think. So in solo queue, laning is like if you lose lane, it's like it kind of warps the game too much, I think. So the two main issues is like don't use your, if you find yourself out of mana, stop using abilities unless you're gonna base immediately, I think. If there's a fight gonna happen, you can't use abilities. And during the lane, don't use it to push, use it to hit them, if that makes any sense, right? So like these are like, how are we out of mana at level 4 already? Let's watch. Hold up, let's take a look at this real quick so we can see if we can pinpoint the exact reason. Okay, so we're relatively full mana here. Oh, probably because we use it under tower. Yeah, okay, something like this, you every time you miss W is like mana down the drain as well, right? It's the same idea. You always want to let them go first, right? Unless you have basically like a guaranteed way to hit them, right? Like, let's say for example, I'm playing Vayne. Would you throw that W at me?
Not really, no.
And why is that?
Because I think that you would be able to dodge it easily.
Right, and I can even tumble, right? It doesn't matter what champion I'm playing, but even on Vayne especially, I could tumble. So you'd want to wait until I got hit by a bind or something, right? It's the same thing here. What's worth more, her tumble or your W?
My W.
Exactly. So you want to save it for sure, right? So I think that's actually one of the reasons why we're out of mana is because we're using it in that way as well. But yeah, like say for example, they're pushing up like this, and you're like, oh, how do I last hit these? Using Q in this case is fine, I think, right? But you didn't have to use Q here, right?
Yeah.
I would say you last hit this, and then you wait, and then you last hit this guy, and then maybe use Q on the back line. But yeah, don't use W for sure. Let's watch this part too. I'm just gonna see the parts where we're running out of mana. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's too much unnecessary usage of Q and W, right? Like here, did we have to use it here? Especially when we need to have enough mana for W?
Yeah, I tried to hit her with my Q there, but I guess that was not worth it.
I would say it's actually worth it in this case, but I think a lot of the times we can go without. I think that was really good actually. You got 2 bounces and you got her, but we're just like out of mana. It's like really strange. I don't know. But if you do find yourself out of mana, you want to make sure you regenerate enough so that you can follow up. That's really the whole point, is that you have enough mana to follow up.
Okay.
If you don't have enough mana to follow up, then basically useless, right?
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
Okay.
Let's see what's going on in this one.
I have a question concerning Jhin.
Yeah.
What runes would you take, and like what item build? Would you say crit is a good idea right now, or?
Okay, so the one I just played. Oh wow. Okay, I didn't record, but the one I just played, I took Ghost Blade into Infinity Edge, and I tried Fleet Footwork, and it wasn't bad. But the next thing I try is Comet. So right now, I'd probably settle for something like Ghost Blade first into Infinity Edge, right? But that's just initial testing. I don't know. I don't really know, right? I only played a few games.
Yeah, but you would take Comet then, or?
Yeah, Comet would be my second choice, or maybe first choice depending on how it goes. I think Comet could be good, especially with the Fleet Footwork nerfs.
Okay.
So do you notice a similar pattern here in this game in terms of using abilities?
Yeah.
Right. It's like the same kind of idea, is that I think every ability should have a specific purpose, right? And don't use it to last hit. You shouldn't be using it to last hit like ever, right? Something like this is you put your ability on cooldown for what, right? What was the value of using Q here?
Well, nothing really.
Yeah. It was like not very good, right? And now all of a sudden we really can't do anything. Honestly, that's not really your fault, but you should have a specific reason to use every ability.
Okay.
Right. So like level 1, you use it on the wave to push would be a reason. You use it on the enemy carry to poke would be a reason, right? Anything like that. But then every time you use it to randomly get minions is a mistake. You should consider it to be a mistake, right?
Okay.
In this case, you'd be like, oh, we're trying to get level 2, but we didn't get level 2 here, so I don't think we were thinking that. And then it's just like, oh, I guess Sona just dies, right? That's not really your fault. Oh my god. Should you just take tower shots? Oh,
Yeah.
that's awkward. Okay, nice try on the E. You had the right idea, but maybe poor execution.
Yeah, I haven't played Xayah for so long, so mechanically I'm not on point with her.
I guess the only real way to fix that is just practice tool or play more, spam the champion, right? Like with Jhin. Like spam Jhin, spam Xayah, whatever works. Oh my god. Let's watch this. Very good. That was clean. That was good. And you want to push this in base. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I have no champ that gives me so much satisfaction in spamming him like Jhin. Like, I tried it with other champions, but at some point I just lose the motivation to.
I know what you mean, right? It's just not fun sometimes, right? Honestly, I would say play whatever's fun for you, right? So if Jin's fun for you, just keep playing Jhin, right?
Okay.
But the best way to improve is just keep playing 1 or 2 champions, right? 2 to 3, honestly, would be the best, right? Otherwise, you're mixing too many different styles and too many different mechanics, right? For sure, stick to like a few. Okay, I was like, see, something like this would be good usage of Q, right? For a specific reason, always.
Yeah.
Something like this. What do you think is the value on your E?
Yeah.
Couldn't we just have used auto attacks to get these, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of one of the reasons I think you run out of mana on Jhin is because you use a lot of abilities when there's not good value. Basically, you only want good value, only good value. Otherwise, you're gonna run into issues like cooldown issues and mana issues and stuff. Oh, you might win this if you get the feathers off. Oh no! Oh no! I thought you were gonna E-flash him. Okay, so you die here because... Oh, you don't die here. Very nice. Oh, you're gonna kill them here, actually, because they're just walking into your feathers. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I guess you won, so we don't have to focus on that aspect. Why is this guy... This guy almost dies. Okay, you just really couldn't catch up. That's fine, right? You want to push this in base. Oh, very good. Yeah, so it's interesting how you have really good back timings this game, but then last game I was like, oh, I think we wanted to push one way. But I think you know the general idea, right? I don't think that's something you need to focus on. Honestly, what I'm thinking is that you should focus on mechanics thus far, right? And the lane matchup. I think this lane is going well, but only because I'm not really sure what Maokai is supposed to do. Maokai's like all in, right? And Caitlyn's poke, so they don't really complement each other. Maybe she can put a trap down after a snare, and that can be all in Caitlyn. But overall, all you have to do... What do you think you want to do in this lane?
Like trying to get a catch with my E.
Okay, that's true. You can catch with your CC. Anyone with CC has catch potential. What other categories do you guys fall under? Pre-6.
Trade, because Sona can heal me again or shield me.
So if you keep that in mind, all you have to do is, if Maokai is too far away from Caitlyn, you just walk up to Caitlyn. And then you press W, you hit her a few times, and you walk away. And you win. That's a guaranteed win, right? That's always something to consider.
Okay.
I think you are doing a fine job in terms of laning, for sure. All right, 2 kills already. Very good. Same thing here, right? You shouldn't have to use Q on these, but maybe you're gonna miss it, so that's fine. Yeah, I think the general idea that I'm looking at is that you want to find good value on your abilities only. Only good value is what you want, right? Like, say for example, what happened here?
Sona catched Caitlyn, but Maokai immediately followed up with his hard CC, and I had to ult to not get caught by his ult, basically.
So let's talk about a value, which is what we've been kind of focusing on, and this ties in with mechanics, because how well you control your champion is kind of tied into how much value you can get it from your abilities, right? So let's talk about each ability in turn. How much value do you get from each ability in this fight? Let's do it in the order we see it, right?
Okay.
So how is the Q value?
0.
Is it positive, 0, or negative?
I don't even know if I hit her. I don't even think so.
Right, it didn't even hit her, right? So would you say that's positive is hitting her, 0 is like kind of not using it, and negative is missing, right?
Well, so it's negative, basically.
Right, negative. And every time you have negative value on abilities means you lose 2v2, or you lose 3v3, or in a 5v5 fight you lose 5v5, right? So if we watch the last game where we played Jhin, the reason why we always lost is because we always missed W, right? Or the one time we didn't focus the same guy when we were playing catch. But and then how about W? How much value do we get out of W?
Nothing, because I didn't even attack.
Right, so positive, 0, negative.
Negative.
Agreed. How about E?
Also negative.
Right, because who did we hit?
No one.
Right. How about ulti though?
Well, I guess that was positive because I could escape his ult.
Right, I'll consider that to be 0. Not bad, but also not the best, right? So the reason why it seems like we can't do anything is because we missed everything, right? And I know it's kind of like brutal to go through these mistakes one by one, but it's important because the amount you contribute to your team like kind of correlates to how much stuff can you land, right? Yeah. So if you can't land anything, then you contribute nothing, essentially. And if you land everything, you contribute the maximum possible you can in the game. Like maximum possible physically is like you're really good, right? So I think for you need to work on making sure you begin landing your abilities, right? Like don't use it unless you land it. Okay, that was just unlucky, right? We don't worry about stuff like this, right?
Yeah, I didn't understand what happened there. Like,
I think you turned away at the last second, but
yeah.
you don't worry about something that's just like whatever, man. Don't worry about that. That's just unfortunate. What you really want to worry about is something like this, where she had. Do you think this is a good catch?
No, I was surprised that she actually did that in the first place.
So if you were next to Sona, would that be good or bad?
Well, if I would have standed next to her, it would have been a good one, I guess, because I could have immediately followed up with my E.
Agreed.
Maybe?
Agreed. You could one-shot her before she can really do anything. So the same thing here is the follow-up aspect, right? So say she does it too far away, and you didn't realize it. That's fine. But as long as you have good value on your abilities, you can still win, right? Because in an all-in, how good is this ulti for Sona?
Well, that's pretty great.
Well, I'll say, positive, 0, negative. What would you say?
In an all-in? That would be positive, I guess.
I would say closer to 0. And the reason why is because we can't follow up. Right? So the only thing she got off it was damage. A little bit of damage, right? Positive would be something like you're next to Sona, she ultis in your one shot. That would be very good, right?
Yeah.
Well, in this case, it's just near 0. So if you can beat the abilities they use, then you're going to win, right? What was the value that Caitlyn net?
Not negative?
Right, negative. Didn't do anything. Yeah, made a little bit of space, did no damage, right? How about this Maokai Q? And Maokai ulti. Right, negative. All negative, right? So if you had gotten any kind of positive, if you landed pretty much anything, you would have won this, right? So pretty much everything you're doing is like 0. And then what about Caitlyn Q and ulti?
Well, that was positive.
Right, because she landed it, right? So that's the idea, is that the side that lands more stuff wins. So all you had to do was you could have even right-clicked her. You could have basically not used anything, and then when they walk up, you just press W and you win.
Okay.
Right. That's the kind of idea you want to go for. Is for you, I think you need to work on mechanics first, because that's kind of it's warping how the game plays out. If that makes any sense, right? Yeah. You're losing 2v2s, you should win, in my opinion.
Okay.
This is a good roam, right? I don't think that you're making any big mistakes in terms of macro, right, or anything like that. I think it's our mechanics that are really kind of preventing these good plays from happening, right? Like that was a really good roam here, right? We were like, oh, a fight's happening, I should go help. This is really good. This is 10 out of 10. I could not do this better. But when it comes to landing stuff, I think you can focus on that and you'll see improvement, right?
Okay. So how do I improve that ideally by just
mechanics are an interesting thing to improve on, because a lot of players have it naturally and a lot of players don't have it at all, right? So one thing you can do to improve your mechanics is there's always a planning stage and an execution stage, right? So if you ever watch Xayah players, how come they can always ulti Gragas ulti or something like that?
Because they expect it to happen.
Yes, right? That's the planning stage. They know it's going to happen, so what they're going to do is press R when they see the barrel, right? So for us, we know that, let's say, for example, Maokai and Caitlyn are going to walk up. So all you have to do is press W and auto attack, right? And then let's say they chase, then you know that you have very good E value. But other than that, you're not going to use these abilities unless you have a specific reason to do so, right? And that's why Xayah is considered one of the most mechanically hardest champions, because she has 4 active abilities, right? Let's say, for example, in that Jhin game we were talking about, you said to yourself, I'm only going to use W if they're rooted by Morgana first. That would be a good example of practicing your mechanics. You're only going to use these abilities in these circumstances because you know it's good value. And everything other than that is not normal, could be good value, but not normal, or overall just not good, negative, right? That's kind of the idea. Like say for example, we're gonna let Sona ulti first, and we're gonna Q, and then it's gonna be guaranteed. You're gonna guarantee your Q on Xayah because she's stunned, right?
Yeah, true.
That would be practicing your mechanics, right? Another thing is how many games of League have you played? Do you think?
A lot.
Right, a lot. Does any of this surprise you if you watch these replays? Do these champions do anything different than you've seen before?
No, not really.
I agree. So then you should be able to look out for, what looks good, right? Oh, getting a root off looks really good on when they're chasing you, for example. But if you use your root for other reasons, like I don't know what happened with we're at 12:20, right? There's like this 2v2 over here when Sona hit 6, and then what was the idea behind the root here, right? It was not planned, right? It was like no idea.
Yeah.
That's what we want to avoid. Is you only use abilities when you know when you want to use them, if that makes any sense, right?
Okay.
Like the Jhin W, for example. I'm only gonna use W if someone lands their CC first, right? Let's take one of my games for example. Oh, it didn't record. That's right. Oh no. Okay. Let's see if we can find something here. In terms of mechanics, let's see. Okay, so tell me what you see when you look at this. From a mechanics perspective.
Well, you expect I think it was a knockup from Mercos or something that you ulted, or was it the Draven?
Yes, it was the Draven E, right? We expected the Draven. We targeted, basically we use our ability for a specific purpose, right? So your W is just all general purpose damage is what I want you to think, right? Your Q is to set up your feathers, right? And then your ulti targets CC, something like that. And then anytime you use root, it has to hit, right? So if we think about it in those situations, we target the Draven E, we use the root to root him, and then we're out, right? Use W for general damage, and then we're out, right? And then it's because we have a 2v3 coming. Even if Nunu wasn't here, we probably win this, right? That's what I want you to go for. Is you don't use an ability unless you target a reason to do so. You have a specific reason to do so, right? So in this example, in these games, you would be able to, if you rewatched it, you'd be able to see, oh, we shouldn't be using W unless XYZ. You have very good usage of Q, I think. Execute a minion and it bounces to them. I think your Qs are fine, except, maybe one or two scenarios. But I think our W, what do you think our hit percentage was in this game?
Not really high, like
right.
20% or something?
Exactly. We want it to be 90%. That's what we're going for. 90% on every ability, right, is what we're looking for, right? Like your concept of, pushing before doing something, roaming when there's a fight happening, this is all very good, I think. At least from what I can tell, right? The only thing that's really kind of holding you back, at least in these two games, is the mechanics aspect, where we should be winning these, but we're not because we're missing XYZ, right? Also, there's a habit of you using abilities when you don't need to, especially when you're out of mana, right? We should also kind of remove that, because not having mana means you can't use abilities, right? So basically, you're basically a cannon minion, right? So how come we're out of minion? What's going on here? Out of mana. Yeah, I think one big thing to note is if you do not have enough mana for one rotation, stop using abilities, right? If you use Q here, you can't do anything, right? I think you probably use something here. Ulti, press E, right? So what was the value on the E?
Well, I got some damage out, but no root, so I guess 0.
Yeah, more negative than 0, but closer to 0 than nothing, right? Than negative, I mean, but not very good. We want only positive, right? We want only positive. And something positive would be you have to root, right? Yeah. So we're just out of mana is the issue for a lot of these points, and I think that ties in with our usage of our abilities as well, because every time you use it for negative value, you waste mana. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's
like not only do you waste the cooldown, but you waste mana. Like you're probably not gonna kill anyone because you guys don't have mana, right? Oh, Sona ulti can maybe catch someone, but probably not, right? You just have no mana. You can't eat here, so you already know that you can't win because we have no abilities. Right? Our job is to follow up. So when he catches someone, we have to be able to follow up. We have no mana. So that's the issue that's going on here. That's why you guys lose this fight. You know, that's why all this happens is because we couldn't follow up correctly. Right? So I think in a general sense, from what I saw, when ganks were coming, you played really well. You baited really hard. But whenever there's 2v2, I think we make a little bit too many mistakes. And that's kind of changing the outcome of the game. When it could have been when it could have been better, right? Like, I think you're generally being in the spots where you should be, right? Coming to help mid. This is fine. Go bot, go mid. Sure, mid fight's happening. You come mid. Sure. Let's see. Let's check this out though, right? We should examine every usage of every ability here. So, value on the Q is what?
Is that a positive one or 0?
What do you think? You have to be able to reason it out so that when I'm not watching your games, you can tell yourself, was it good or bad?
Well, I mean, I hit someone and I placed some feathers, but it was not significant damage. I don't know, to be honest.
Right. It is not very threatening to Maokai.
Yeah.
Right. Like, say for example, using your Q on Malphite versus using your Q on Caitlyn, which is better?
Well, Caitlyn, obviously.
Right, by a lot, right? So that's how you can tell what the value is. So I'd say this is about 0, right? And then how about our W?
Negative because I got rooted and I couldn't attack anymore.
Exactly. You didn't hit anyone with it. And then how about your E?
That was negative as well.
Agreed. So we see a pattern here, right? Is that on these champions we're playing, every time we kind of use an ability, it's like negative value. Oh my god, what's Caitlyn doing? Oh my, Monka S. Wait, you're gonna kill them all with feathers. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't get it. You couldn't get it off on time. Oh. Okay, nice try. But yeah, we can talk about this too. What was the value of this taunt?
That was perfect.
It's very good, right? Very positive.
Yeah.
Game changing even. And then everyone dies because it was so good, right? So that's the difference, is that every time they get 0 or negative value and you get positive value, you're gonna win.
Yeah.
Every time you get negative value and they get 0 or positive value, you're gonna lose. So that's why it's better to not use an ability than it is to waste it, if that makes any sense, right?
Okay.
Like, if I were you, I would not have used Q or E, right? I would have just walked up and used W. Or maybe even hold on to W until they're going to die, right? And then Caitlyn walks up, you use Q on her or something like that, right? That's what you're really aiming to do, is get the most value out of your abilities. Otherwise, you just straight up lose 2v2, 3v3, anything like that, 4v4, team fights, right? It all ties into the same concept. Right. I think your decision to go places is good for the most part. I think you should push out another wave here, actually. Oh, you do? Okay, yeah. See, your decision making is not bad at all. Definitely at least platinum, right? Which you were last season. It's just our mechanics aren't up to par, I think. And I think that's what you should work on, from what I'm seeing, right? Like, if we watch this team fight, let's see what happens. Oh, I guess you just can't do that much. Oh, maybe kill Olaf. I guess they were just too far ahead or something. What's going on here? Oh, you're missing an Ivern. That's why. One of the reasons why. And they just run. Yeah, they just run over Sona, right? Oh, this is also kind of like a team comp thing, but if we watch this too, you know, what's the value on our abilities?
I hate to say it, but negative.
Right,
Now
not
the root, but that's not worth anything.
Agreed. It's not very good, right? You would rather do something like, oh, we're gonna use W on Olaf and then Q ulti and then E him or something like that, right? So Xayah is really difficult to play, so we can't really fault you too much on mechanics in this game. But seeing the Jhin game, I think that you could definitely work on this aspect of your gameplay, right? Because I think it's a trend for you, or a habit maybe. Oh, you can kill this guy. Oh, never mind. I guess not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought so as well, but then yeah, the crit.
I think
Um,
that's the general idea for you to work on
the funny
is.
the funny thing is, I always thought that like the my AD carry mechanics are pretty bad, but with Jhin, I always thought that my mechanics are pretty decent. So pretty much surprised me how I played this game. Like I don't know if it's just a really bad example because I don't know. Normally I would say my mechanics are not so bad with him. Like I know that my mechanics with, let's say, normal ADCs or more standard ADCs are really not that great, but with Jhin normally I didn't have that many mechanical problems.
Mhm. I think that mechanics were an issue this game, but also the kind of matchup idea too, right?
Yeah.
This game kind of got out of control just because of the matchup as well. But seeing the Xayah game, I think you played that matchup fine, right? So it makes me believe that I think mechanics are the overall picture here, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And that also plays together, I think, because um my one of my biggest issues, like in my history as an AD carry, because I wasn't always an AD carry.
mhm.
Basically, when Jhin was released, I transitioned to AD carry. But my problems with that is that I always end up not contributing a lot of damage to the team, or not as much as I could do, because a lot of times I think I have problems with the positioning. Like the problem is those replays don't really show it that much, but
Right.
like many times I'm just like scared to walk up and deal damage because I'm always scared of like getting immediately blown up. And I think that's
So
one of the main problems. Like even if I get fed early game, like I had a lot of games where like I don't know 10-0, and then I just don't do as much as I could, and I don't know what to do about that.
can't really say too much on specifics because we haven't really seen it, I think. But
Yeah.
the idea is that oh, you are strong, you come out of lane, so what should you do? And in fights, the general answer is count the abilities that are going to kill you and then stay away from them, right, until they're on cooldown or something. That's the general idea, right? But I think you already know that, so without seeing gameplay, I'm not sure what else to tell you, right? Because you didn't really die to any of that stuff in these last two games. Um, it was just we missed a bunch of stuff, and then we lost the fight, right?
Okay.
So I don't really see that as something you need to work on yet. But if that is like a continuous problem, use Place TV to clip it and show it to me, and I can tell
Okay.
you.
All right.
How does that sound? Does that sound fair?
Yeah. Brilliant.
That way I can kind of break it down for you. But honestly, I didn't see that at all in these two games, right? You didn't get caught by anything. You weren't really out of position for 4v5s or anything like that. You didn't start anything crazy. You were where you're supposed to be. You rotated correctly. You came to help fights and you guys won those fights. It's just that when it was even numbers, we missed everything. So team lost, right? And then at this point in the game, it's probably like too late,
Yeah.
I think.
She was out of control by now.
Yeah, it's just kind of your whole team is just running in now, and it's just like, oh, what can you do, right?
Yeah. I think he was already also smurfing. I'm not sure. Like there was something up in the post game lobby about that.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate too. Then, but yeah, I think that's the general idea is twofold. I think that it'll help your mana issues, but if you do somehow have mana issues, you need to not use abilities until you have one rotation's follow up.
Right.
Right. But cutting down on your ability usage, unless you know it's good value, will help with your mana issues. Right. Let's see if I have any examples here. See, I played Tristana. Not sure how applicable. Oh, I wish those Jhin games recorded. Yeah, PlayStation was being dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. It trolls me all the time at the moment.
Yeah, if we like speed through, I should always have enough mana for a W, right? Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't even use mana, right? Basically, the only time you use abilities is for specific purpose, right? So like in this case, When I have less than 130 mana, that's one rotation, I don't use anything, no matter what. So I can follow up, right?
Even if you're missing CS.
You shouldn't be missing CS, right? You should be able to last hit without using abilities, right?
Okay.
Like if you ever watch streams, that's what they do, right? They last hit with auto attacks, right? You don't need to clear minions super fast, right? Like using a bomb on this minion wouldn't make sense, if that makes any sense. It'd be the same idea as using Jin's Q here wouldn't make sense, because this other minion's not going to die anytime soon, so you can just last hit these, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what you're going for, right? Only good value on abilities, right? That's what you want to go for. Let's see. I don't even use my E on these minions. Wow. Interesting. I would have thought that I would use E here, but I guess not, right? Maybe something like this, where it's literally PvE and you have full mana, you can do it, right? But if you're starting to lose mana for some reason, you shouldn't have to use mana on ability. Oh my god, I got all of these minions, right? I got all these minions without using abilities, so it's possible, right? And even at your rank, you don't even have to get all the minions. I'm not even kidding, right? Getting all the minions is great, but you don't even have to do that. You just need to make sure that you are fighting relatively even, at the very least. Right? Ideally, you want to be ahead, but you want to be relatively even. Something like that is good because of full mana, right? So if you have full mana on Jhin, you can do that if you want to push faster. But if you're running out of mana, you can't use your abilities. Look, like how we never dip even below half mana, right? That's kind of the idea you want to go for. Oh, and then we like suicide for a kill or something. I don't know what's going on there, but that's kind of the idea, right?
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, that makes sense. The other issue I'm having, but it's also not so shown in those replays, that's a bit unfortunate, is I guess wave management, like mid-late game. Like I end up sometimes out farming my opponent in their lane phase, and then later on I fall off farm-wise.
Okay. This is the rule, and there are exceptions, but this is the easy answer, right? You can apply this to your games immediately. Is when you get to let me see this one. When you get to out of the laning phase, how do you get more farm? Let me see. Is there a part where we're not just all mid? Here, you want to push out past the river. So if you can see my mouse, this river part, you want to push it past the middle point. And do you know why that is?
Because the wave will reset there or something?
Yeah, the wave is going to come back to you, right? Yeah. So you're going to miss a minimum amount of minions if you do that. So that's all you have to do is if no one can kill you, ask yourself who's missing on the map. And then if there are people who can kill you, you wait until you can see them. Then you push, right? And then you push past the river and then you go do something else, right? That's it. So all you got to do is push past the river, do something else. If you're losing, you let them push into you and you wave clear before you do something else, right? That's the general idea. But I think these games just like ended immediately. It's kind of really short games, but that is the idea, right? You wanna push past the river, and something like let's see, I think there's like an example where everyone was mid or something. I don't know what's going on, but let's take a look. Okay, everyone's just like mid. Your job is the same thing: push and then do something else. So in this case, can you take the tower?
I don't see the health bar, but I guess no.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
Right. If it's not obvious that you should hit the tower, don't hit the tower. Go do something else. Right. So where can you go instead?
Bot lane in that case, because it's not pushed until the river.
Yes. Perfect answer. Right. That's it. You go bot, you get all this money. But then I think here we don't do that. Right. We're like helping this Rift Herald that doesn't need help, and then we base. So that's why we have no CS, right? Part of the reason. Let's see.
A lot of times when I do that and when I move bot lane, then I don't know, like my teammate takes that as my teammates take those as a signal to just randomly engage, and then they die or something.
Right, that's not your fault. At that point, you say not your fault at all, and you spam back ping them, right? Let me see. Like, let's take a look at this example. I don't know. This is defeat, but it doesn't matter, right? There's probably too much team fighting. Let's see a different example. Right, this is the standard strategy: is you push past the river and you go do something else, right? So, place TV, please. and then skip past laning phase, and then push past the river, right? And then do something else. So maybe help your teammates. Fast forward a bit, and then we die. Sure, same thing. We're gonna push past this river, and then we're gonna go do something else, right? So if you see us push, Echo showed up. Okay, we can go do dragon, right? That's the general strategy. Is you want to push before you do something, and then look at our CS, right? Even though we died 4 times, we still have relatively good CS, right? That's how you do it. Push past the river. And that's the rule, right? So there are exceptions. What kind of exceptions can you think of? Like you can't push for whatever reason.
Yeah, like the thing that comes to my mind is if they have an assassin like Sheko or Rengar that can immediately one-shot you.
Perfect. So anything like that, you need you need to like go mid and swap with your mid laner, or you need your support next to you so that you can win 2v1. Anything like that, right?
What if the teammates don't do that? Like if the support goes roam randomly, or your mid laner just insists on staying mid?
Let's see. I don't really. I can't remember when it happened in my last game, but let's say for example you cannot stay because you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So you leave. You base, you go somewhere else, right? I had a game where my support left my lane, and I was 1v3 against the enemy bot lane and the jungler. So what do? Do you stand on the tower? You can't.
I guess not.
You get dove, right? Can you do camps? No, because the jungler is going to kill you, right? Do you stand under your second tier tower? No, because you're being useless. So what do? You base and you go mid. And then they're going to take bot, your team takes top, you get mid farm. So your team is winning, right? You need to do something useful. So say you can't go top because Zed is there. You either wait for him to push in and then clear out the tower, or you swap with someone else, or basically do whatever you think is useful, right? Obviously, it's not going to happen every game because assassins aren't really being played, but that's the general idea, right?
Yeah.
Is that if you cannot do it for whatever reason, don't do the bad thing if you know it's a bad thing.
Okay.
If that makes any sense, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this game is all the same. You just push before you do anything. Like this is a good example too. We're gonna clear before we base, right? It's the same concept.
Alright.
So yeah, that'll help your mid-game CS. But yeah, for sure, I would say work on your mechanics. And the best way to do that is to not use your abilities unless you know without a doubt in your mind it's positive usage. Okay? You don't want 0. You definitely don't want negative. You want positive, right? You consider like how bad is missing Malphite out for a team fight?
It's not really good.
It's very bad. Your team loses, right? So that's what I want you to think is every time you miss an ability, you missed a mini Malphite ult, basically. That's what I want you to think, okay? Especially with Jhin. Jin's W is very important, right? You don't want to use any abilities unless you know for sure, right? Like Tristana is a good example too. How many Tristanas have you seen jump in and just instantly die? Right? that's a more obvious. Yeah, that's a more obvious example. But that would be super negative value, right? That's like pretty much game throwing, right?
Since you're talking about that, like I'm the opposite. Like I don't even use the W when I could. Like if I could use it safely, I just don't even do it. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I miss out a lot of opportunities because of that.
Don't worry about missing opportunities. You want to worry about. I know what you're saying, right? It's like, oh, maybe you could have made the play, right? But the idea right now is to build consistency in terms of the way you use abilities. And it's better to not use it and miss a play than it is to use it and not be able to make a play later because you don't have the ability. Right, that's a big point, right? Like if we watch this team fight, right? Let's talk about my value on abilities, right? Let's say here, okay? So for each ability that comes up, what was the value? So how is my W?
I'm not sure to be honest. Like I would say it was 0, but like I don't know enough to properly.
So would you say if you don't know, would you say it's more positive or negative?
I would say it's like from my aspect, it's more negative. Like
agreed.
I wouldn't have done that.
It doesn't do anything. Literally didn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
It didn't do anything. So negative. You wasted your very important W. How about my Q?
Well, I guess it was positive.
I agree. We got so many hits off Echo, right? And some
Yeah.
hits off Volibear. So he's half health. That's pretty good, right? And then are we using E at any time?
No.
Right, because there was no good way to use it, right? There's no. I determined that it was better to save it than get nothing off it, right? Say for example, if I use it on Echo, over here, what would have happened? He would just walk away, right?
Yeah.
So not good value, right? Would I use it on volley? He's already dying to my team, so still not good value, right? So you save it, right? And then because you save it, you can use it for something else. Like say for example, Warwick here, right? You use bomb on Warwick and you kill him. How is the value on that?
Positive.
Yeah, but we would not have been able to do that if we used it on anyone else, right? That's the kind of point I'm trying to make, is that every ability you use should have very good, like very high value. That's what I want you to think. And not using it is better than wasting it.
Yeah.
Okay? Not using it is better than wasting it, right? That's the only way you can, make up for your team's poor value, is good value yourself. Or that's how you punish the enemy's play, is you get good value yourself. Obviously, we die here, probably because we used our ulti when we didn't need to, right? Our ulti on Volibear was what?
Negative.
Agreed. Didn't do anything. We didn't need the damage. We didn't need the knockback. We could have used it to assassinate one of these guys, right? So that's the reason why we couldn't save this fight. If I had like perfect value on this fight, we probably could have killed everyone, right? So that's the idea I want you to work towards for your next 10, 20, 30 games, is you only use an ability when it has very good value, right? And if you don't know if it was good value or not, ask yourself, was it more positive or more negative, right? You'll only want positive. Only want positive, right? That's the idea I want you to work on, right?
Okay.
Any last thoughts, I guess?
Yeah, like something different. I don't know if you can really help me with that, but I'm having a bit of problems mentality-wise right now. Like with that huge losing streak really demotivates me, and I'm someone who is easily tilted. Like especially right now, there's not a lot needed until I kind of get frustrated and kind of lose focus on myself and on improving, even though I really try to like only to look at myself. Any advice on that, maybe?
Yeah, I fall into the same. I think me, you, and everyone else who plays this stupid game falls into the same kind of slump or tilt. Everyone's experienced it, right? So I guess it's not how do I prevent it, but how do we make it as short as possible? And the slump I just got over like 2 days ago, I kind of what helped me, I don't know if it'll help you, but what helped me was, I looked at articles online. I was like, how do you get over sports slump? And it's like, oh, be positive in your thinking. Don't think I'm bad, but think, oh, I played poor and I can play better. And this is how I'm going to do it, right? You want to focus on the now and not the past or the future, right? So the kind of idea that came to me that really helped was, how do I make my play right now good? I don't care that I died in lane to a gank. I don't care that I missed my ulti or burned my flash. How do I make this play good now? And don't worry about the future. Like, oh, what if I mess up my ulti again in the future, right? Or what if I miss my jump? Or what if I miss my flash? You don't need to worry about those kinds of things. It's all about, being positive and how can we, improve ourselves now, right? I don't know if that's necessarily helpful to everyone, and I think that there are people get out of slumps in different ways, but that's just personally what helped me, right? Is every time I remember, oh, I'm playing this not to win games, right? We're not playing to win games. We're not playing to perfection, right? We're playing for excellence and to improve ourselves. So it's like, oh, what am I working on this game? And stay positive, right? Whenever your team ints or does something really stupid, I just laugh, right? Because like, oh, that's kind of funny, right? Because in the long run, it doesn't really matter. In the long run, something like that isn't going to affect your play. It'll only affect your play if you let it. If that makes any sense. Yeah, it's all mental, right?
The trigger for me is that my long-term goal always was to get diamond. Like that was always the thing I wanted to reach, and since being able to be plat, I thought I could reach for that in this season, and yeah, now I'm even struggling to get back to plat again. So
No,
Yes.
I know that's exactly what I was doing, right? I was like, oh, I want to be top 50 challenger. And then once I got challenger, I got into my slump, and now I can't even beat Diamond 3 players, right? So I was kind of where I was at. It's the same position you were at. It's very much all mental, right?
Okay.
So I think if you can, let this like all slumps. Have you ever been tilted before in the past?
Yeah, a lot of
And you
times.
always got over it, right? Always,
Yeah.
without exception, it passed, right? So all you have to think is this too will pass, right? And don't
Okay.
worry about it. It's just natural, right? You just have to try and stay positive, right? And if you can't, then maybe like take a 20-minute break or 30-minute break between games and stuff. That's what I do too, right? Do something that makes you happy,
Okay.
and I guarantee you this, slump or tilt will go away eventually, right? That's all. That's it. That's all there is to it. But yeah, I would say if you're still struggling with tilt, definitely look up some articles online. That helped me a lot.
Okay. Do you have some helpful links, maybe, or?
Okay, yeah, let's see. So what I did was how to overcome sports slump or something like that, right? And I was like, oh, these like 5 links. I'm pretty okay. This one is too many words, but
Yeah.
there are some. Let's see. This is not a good one either. 5 ways to break your slump. This Forbes one was good, I think. Here we go. This is good. This is a good one, right? Here's Forbes, right? I was reading all these while I was in the gym, right? I was so tilted, I went to work out, okay? I was like, dude, fuck this game. I'm gonna go work out at 1 a.m. And then I started reading these articles and I was like, you're right. I can be positive. This slump will pass, right? You just have to trust in that time will take care of it, right? And the only thing that'll make it worse is worrying about it, right? So you can also do like how to stop tilt and stuff like that. But there's so many articles online, you can just click through any of them, right? Like this one, I'm pretty sure I read, right? Just try those out for size. You still need more. There's still a bunch of links, right? So,
Okay.
no worries, my dude. We've all been there. I have recently been there. You will get out of this tilt. I believe in you, dude. You can make platinum last season. You can make platinum this season. And
Let's
if
hope
you
so,
want to
yeah.
get diamond as a goal, dude, it is doable. I promise. I promise. I
Yeah.
promise. I promise.
Yeah, sometimes I felt helpless as an AD carry, but I guess I see why now. Like,
Me
it's
too.
interesting.
Me
Like,
too.
like those kind of mistakes. I don't think I would have even realized them without you telling me.
Right. And it's like everyone will fall into these kinds of issues, right? You always, if you're tilted right now, maybe those games aren't a true representation of how you play, right? Because you're just in a slump. Look at this, right? Am I really a platinum 1 player? According to last week, I was, right? Look at all these. The more losses than wins, right?
Okay.
But it's just a mental thing. I promise. It's just a mental thing, right? After we got over it, it's just like, oh, now we just destroy everyone, right? You just look at my other accounts. Like last week, I was having major issues. This week, we're all Gucci, right? It's just how a lot of sports and league and chess and whatever is mental, right? You can easily beat a higher skilled player if he's tilted, right? And you
Yeah.
can easily lose to a lower skilled player if you're tilted, right? So it's just it's all just a mental thing. You have to trust in your skills that got you platinum last season. There will be the same skills that get you platinum this season, and even diamond. So don't worry about it, man.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. And if you do have more examples on, these, getting caught in team fights or how come I can't contribute even though I'm getting good value, definitely show me the Place TV link. I'm always down to answer.
Well, that's brilliant. Yeah, definitely going to do that then. If I find a good example, like, well, the problem is don't know if I can define a good example from just looking at it, but yeah. If I see
Cool.
something, I will definitely let you know.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
The last question I
Mm-hmm.
have, if I have some more time,
Yeah.
like you said, like spamming a champion would be a great way to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you spam them immediately in ranked, or like how what is the process from saying, let's say I really love playing Varus, right? But I'm nowhere near on the level as with Jhin. Like, with Varus. So if I want, let's say I want to learn Varus, how should I should I just say let's go to solo queue and just play Varus no matter what, or
So if I don't know, if I haven't played a champion in a long time, like for me, it's Xayah.
yeah,
I'll go into practice too, and I practice all the basic combos. Right, so
okay,
Q auto E, W first auto, and then Q E or whatever. Then you use your Q ulti, and then you E, and then you get all those down, and then you
yeah,
can go into game, and then you're good to go. Right? You tell yourself, oh, this is what this champion does. This is the matchup, and then you play it out like that. Right? For Varus, it's like, oh, go into practice tool, practice using Rage Blade, and then auto attack, you throw your E, and then you Q, right? Something like that. Or practice alt flashing or something like that. Once you get the basic mechanics down, you go for put it in ranked. Why not? I only play ranked, so that's kind of how I do it. But
yeah,
the basic idea of playing spamming champions in game is once you know the basic mechanics, then it's like, oh, how do I play these matchups correctly, right?
yeah.
So
So I would say you should focus only on 2 champions, like Jhin and Varus, for
right.
example.
So right now, what am I doing? I'm doing something like Caitlyn and Xayah and Tristana. So I'm actually focusing on 3. Let me see. I was playing on Rin. So if you look at my games, ignoring today's, it's all very similar, right? Barring like some mid lane. It's just 3 champions. And then I played Ashe once, but that was just testing, right? It's just Caitlyn, Tristana, Caitlyn, Xayah, right? So it's the same idea. You need to stick to a few champions so you can not lose based on mechanical error, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Like if you ever have you ever watched Last Shadow?
No, don't think so.
Or have you heard of Last Shadow?
Is that a player too, or?
Oh no, he's another coach.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, play Annie, play Annie, play Annie to like everyone
You
who's
mean
planning
LS?
below.
Yeah,
Yeah, LS. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, I know him, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'll play Annie. And then everyone's like, why do you play Annie? And then he says, because the mechanics are easy, so you can learn the game, right? It's the same kind of idea.
Yeah. Okay. So you'd say that I could keep playing ADC, that I'm not a hopeless case.
Yeah, of course. I would say seems good. Your gen win rate is good, right? All I have to do is, for now, I think, is focus on your mechanics and your ability value. And when you do get out of your slump, watch your replays again and see if that's still an issue, right? And then if it's not, you say, oh, let's work on something else. But that's what I think you should focus on for now.
Yeah. Okay. Should I only watch replays where I've lost, or what kind of
Well,
replay?
you go watch all the replays. I watch it. At the end of the game, I'm just like, oh, scroll here, and I'm like, oh, how did I die? Right, and then I'm like, oh, I write that down so I can figure out what I need to work on next. That's what I do.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, I guess if that's all your questions.
Yeah, I guess I can't come up with anything else right now.
Right. If you do come up with anything else later, feel free to message me. Otherwise, I'm going to stop the recording, upload to YouTube, and send you the link so that you can review this at any time. Right. Maybe next week you're back to form and you'll rewatch this and you'll say, oh, don't worry, my mechanics are actually good, and then it's time to do something else.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Thank you very much. Then it was
No
really,
problem.
really helpful and a lot of insight I could took away from there.
Good luck in your games, and let me know how things go.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.